Welcome back to part 2 of the league winner video, where this marvelous man right here dropping this amazing question led to everything you see in front of you. The Burrow and Hall breakdown, watch part 1. I'll link it in the description. In that video, I tell you why Joe Burrow, this cigar smoking monster, is the #1 league winning player in fantasy football 2022, and why Breece Hall is right next to him, standing tall right next to him.
Get Breece.
Both of these guys right here can win you a league. 6th round value
to the moon.
4th round value, or even 3rd round if it's right,
to the moon.
Make absolute sure you watch part 1 to win leagues with these two gentlemen. But now we move on to Pollard and Etienne. Let's kick it off with Etienne. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
The man you're looking at right now, Travis Etienne, walks into 2022 still very much underrated. He's climbing pretty quickly on ADP rankings or personal rankings or chatter around the office by the water cooler. Bob walks over and goes, "You heard about that Travis Etienne?" ETN is how we say it on the show. ETN, Bob. ETN. If you can't respect the man's initials, trade him to someone who can appreciate him, Bob. Let's say you do approach Bob to talk about ETN. Let's talk about this right now. Bob won't know what he has, but you can, and we're going to go over this in the Psychology of Fantasy Football trade negotiation videos that are dropping really, really soon. You don't ask for ETN right out of the gate. Everybody kind of knows he might be breaking out, but the people that own him might have some questions. They might be like, I'm a little worried about the injury. I'm a little worried about the Jacksonville Jaguar offense. Maybe they're susceptible and prone to trading him on a knee-jerk reaction that they might be having. But the moment you inquire on a Breece Hall, a Burrow, the two monster studs I talk about in video part 1, the moment you just ask for them, hey, what do you want for ETN? Hey, what do you want for Breece Hall? Hey, what do you want for cigar-smoking Joseph Burrow, league-winning quarterback Joseph Burrow? It's like, whoa. Two things are happening. And I'll go over this in detail in the Trade 101 videos, but two things are happening when you ask somebody about a player directly. What do you want for ETN? Either you're better than that person at fantasy football in their mind. This is their perspective, not yours. Either you are better at fantasy football in their mind, or number 2, they think they're better than you. There's nothing in between. Nobody thinks, oh, we're tied. Let's say Bob thinks he knows more than you, and you ask him about ETN right out of the gate. Bob's gonna say, you're confirming that I know what I'm doing. I'm not an idiot. I drafted him for a reason. Thank you for confirming how good of a drafter I am.
No,
I won't
trade him.
Or an example, too, where Bob doesn't look at fantasy football till August. His magazine subscription hasn't arrived. It's running late from Amazon, so he doesn't know what player values are. He has no idea that James Robinson report that I'm going to talk about in a minute that said James Robinson's a 3-down back. Might not be available for the beginning of camp, but he's a 3-down back. He doesn't even know that report existed. This is almost like the guy that's got that mullet that literally went out of style. He still wore it through that period of time. It came back in style, and now his mullet's in style. He's not regrowing it. It's just he ironically is in the right place at the right time. Same thing with Travis Etienne if the owner is a Bob. He literally is just, he went through the ups and downs, and now he still has Travis Etienne and has no clue that he went from like doubted in the 4th or 5th round in a redraft kind of setting, going up to the 3rd round, kind of dipping back down because of the James Robinson weird news that broke that some people just didn't understand. He doesn't know what he has. So in scenario 2, guess what Bob's gonna do? Hey Bob, this is you. Hey Bob, do you want to trade me Travis Etienne? Here's Bob looking at you. Mr. Amazing, you're better than him at fantasy football. What does he know that I don't know? If I trade him, I might look like a moron. I'm just gonna step back. Yeah, no, I don't. I'm gonna wait for my magazine to arrive on August 1st. Trading is that simple. You don't ask for somebody right out of the gate. You don't do it. You're gonna trigger their ego, or you're gonna trigger a fear mechanism. Asking for a player out the gate's ridiculous. So in Etienne's case, you act like you don't even know he has Etienne. Look at his roster. He's got Javonte Jamar Chase. You go, what do you want for Jamar Chase? Okay. No, you don't want to trade him? Okay. What do you want for Justin Herbert? You don't want to trade him? Okay. You do want to trade him? Great. You asked about a player you like. If he likes him, then go down that road. But you're expecting a no because who you ask for is, again, either confirming their ego or triggering some kind of fear mechanism. So then you get 3 or 4 questions in and you're like, well, I don't know. I kind of need a running back, Bob. Who do you got? Make him say the words Etienne or Etienne. And then you're like, I don't know. Isn't he hurt? No. Make him defend it. No. He's been running on the field. Make him sell you. That's how you get into a Travis Etienne or a Burrow or a Breece Hall or a Tony Pollard or surprise number 5, which I'm announcing later downstream in the video, so stay tuned, buddy boy. Let's talk about Etienne. Now that you're trying to acquire him the right way. This guy is a lock in my mind in the 3.5 territory in a redraft setting, and top of the third, or maybe even earlier if I have to. Don't tell anybody. In a dynasty setting, I don't think his dynasty value is going to be too much above his redraft value, to be honest. But everything's dependent on your league. Is it Superflex? Are your people in the know? Do you guys play more for the now? Is it keeper versus dynasty? I mean, there's a lot of factors involved, whether Etienne's going to be a bottom of the second or a top of the third or whatever. But from a redraft perspective, 3.5 is really good value, but can you get him later? If you're drafting at 3.10, well, your draft position will dictate whether you take him earlier than 4.1 or you reach for him at 3.5. I think 3.7, 3.8, 3.6 is a pretty safe area to get Etienne. I think some people will think it's really early. Some people will want him there. The later you get him, the more home run potential you have. If you get him as your 4th player taken, your 4th drafted player, you have more ability to crush the pick. It's common sense, but do you reach? Where do you reach to? What is the highest point where you're going to reach? I would say 3.4, 3.5. Have I taken him at 3.2? I have in a mock. I don't think I've drafted him that high in a regular league. Our community is so good at mock drafting because we all think alike. Now, granted, if we're wrong, we're going to all be wrong together about some players that we're drafting really, really high. But for the most part, I feel our community is on point. Obviously, we think alike, and I feel like I'm on point with a guy like Breece Hall or Etienne, so I'm going to feel like you're on point. So in the real world setting, we probably get Etienne at 3.4, 3.5 pretty easily with even a couple eyeball emojis in a chat. Like, did you see where Frank took Etienne? But I'm comfortable with that if push comes to shove. Now, make sure you're looking at the pre-rank list. If you're on the clock now and your next pick is 10 picks away and Etienne's ranked number 6 on the overall pre-rank list, you got to punch him now. You're not going to get him later. Now, if this is the running back list, let's say, and Etienne is the number 7 running back, and that means he's probably going to be outside the top 15 overall on the overall list, and you're picking 7 picks away, then Etienne, you can wait on him. You can wait till round 4. I can't really answer at all in general where to take Etienne, what you can get away with. You have to look at your pre-rank list. I'm astonished by people that give this blanket advice out there, like, you take Etienne here, or taking Breece Hall at 3.2 is a reach, when they don't even know the scenario. They don't know who is gone at running back, or if it's a running back hungry league. We took Etienne at 3.1 in the Fantasy Football Throne draft, one of the biggest expert drafts that I created, where the community drafts for the expert that they're following. So you guys drafted for me, you drafted my team. We took Hall at 3.1, really, really early, but our team is straight fire, and had we not reached on Hall, we wouldn't have a running back we like for a running back too. Don't worry about reaching as long as you're not reaching like in a very crazy fashion. Like if a guy's ADP is 4.2 and you go at 3.10, not a big deal. Don't be reaching 2 rounds or not being smart with it, but it's all case by case. I can't even tell you a formula of how much to reach in round 3 versus round 2 because every circumstance will be different. What I can tell you about Etienne right now from a expectation level, production level, talent. This guy was hurt last year. He hurt his foot. The dreaded Liz Frank injury that can sometimes take a running back out of action, sometimes altering their career. He's young. Every injury is a little different. We had to monitor his foot and how he was recovering. He's running all over the field. There's footage of this guy making sharp cuts, rounding corners just fine. Change of direction's phenomenal. He looks 100% healthy. He says he's 100% healthy. Sometimes players will say that. We need to actually see it. We need to actually see it with our own eyes, and we have seen it. He's also rehabbing it right now to keep it from being a problem or getting sore or whatever. He's proactively making sure that this doesn't come back or there's no recidivism. This guy can be a Christian McCaffrey kind of running back. I'm not saying he's number one in fantasy in 2023 in drafting, that he has that big of a Christian McCaffrey type of year. I'm saying he's Christian McCaffrey like. He's probably going to pull in a whole bunch of receiving work. He could score easily above 12 touchdowns, in my opinion. He's playing with his old college quarterback. And don't worry about the reports about James Robinson. He tore his Achilles tendon. I'm not worried about James Robinson ever being ultra productive ever again because of his Achilles injury. And some people are worried about him taking work away from Etienne this season on his way back from a torn Achilles tendon. You have no explosion. He's not taking anything away from Travis Etienne. In fact, James Robinson's the best gift to Etienne believers because you have an inadequate backup behind Etienne. I'd rather have James Robinson recovering all year long. He won't be healthy all year long. He'll be behind. Even if he comes back in week 2 or week 3 or whatever, he might not even be ready for a full backup workload in week 1, but let's say he is. He'll be struggling to be explosive all year long. If Travis Etienne can't hold off an Achilles torn James Robinson, then he's not the guy that you or I believe him to be. So give me J-Rob recovering from a torn Achilles over any rookie running back. Trevor Lawrence and Etienne having a rapport from college is going to make for a quick, establishing, consistent connection between the two. Travis Etienne is the best receiver on the entire roster in Jacksonville. He's a better receiver than Christian Kirk. He's a better receiver than every single wide receiver on the roster. So you can bet your bottom dollar that Trevor Lawrence is going to command his presence on the field for PPR work, and he's going to get enough work in the backfield that he could be that kind of old Eckler role. Maybe he doesn't run for 1,200 yards. We don't really need him to. Maybe we want James Robinson to be healthy enough to take 50% of the carries so this guy can go out wide. They can both be on the field at the same time. This guy could be an 800 and 900 type player. Maybe he gets 800 and 900, 60 to 70 receptions and 12 to 15 touchdowns. That accounts for a workload that needs a backup running back. I just don't get the doubt, but I love it, and I hope it continues because it drives down Etienne's value. Like I mentioned, he might be driven back into the 4.1, not all the way to 4.5, which is where he was going in underdog drafts. And by the way, click the link down in the description, use promo code Smitty over at Underdog Fantasy and get a free 10-minute phone call with me and take advantage of drafting Etienne. Take advantage of getting all these guys we're talking about: Burrow, Breece Hall, Etienne, Pollard, and surprise number 5, which you'll find out in a minute. Take advantage of all these guys on Underdog while you can. Etienne was going at 4.5 like clockwork. Sometimes he fell to 5.1. Now he's inching toward round 3. You can still get him at 4.1 because of the James Robinson concern, but he's gonna climb. Like in August, if there's a lot of good news and buzz and chatter, and then videos like mine and everybody else talking about him, you're gonna see him climb higher and higher into round 3, maybe the top of round 3. I wouldn't be shocked if Hall and Etienne, my 2 favorite running backs walking into 2022, given the cost of entry, the league winner running backs. Etienne, Hall, my top 2 league winner running backs. Now, let me just speak on Javonte real quick because he is also the definition of a league winner. A lot of people don't refer to second round players as breakouts or sleepers or whatever. I do, though, because you can define it by a little label like second round sleeper, second round breakout, a player that's going to be slept on even in 14 or 15 overall draft slot value. Javonte's being slept on. He's a sleeper. He's a big name sleeper. He's a second round sleeper, and he will be a league winner because I believe he can finish as the number 1 or number 2 overall running back in 2022. I'm not scared of Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon's a gift. Like I always say on my show, if this button undid the Melvin Gordon re-signing in Denver, I would not press it no matter how many of you begged me, because it lowers Javonte Williams' value, and I don't ultimately think he's a threat at the end of the day. So why not take the discount for a phantom paper tiger threat? If you disagree with Melvin Gordon being a paper tiger, if you're only going to use last year to paint a picture about this year with a different staff, with Russell Wilson, Super Bowl contending team versus a team that was not Super Bowl contending and wanted to save the mileage last year, think what you want. And the reason I'm mentioning him is I want people to know that he might even be a bigger league winner just from a different angle. I'm going to do a whole nother video on Javonte this week or early next week, so he doesn't necessarily need to be in this video, but just know, league winner. He is a league winner, and he's going to the he's on the moon.
To the moon.
Draft Etienne, in a couple leagues. If this guy can stay healthy, you will not be sorry. So talented. Trevor Lawrence trusts him. He's the best wide receiver in his draft class coming out of college, and he's the best wide receiver on the entire roster. He's one of the best receiving backs in the NFL right now, and we haven't even seen him play. You can't say that, Smitty. I just did. Time for a little Tony Pollard. Okay, so Tony Pollard is different than Etienne, different than Breece Hall, different than Joe Burrow. He is really a handcuff right now. He's going as running back number 30 across the industry using consensus rankings data. Number 30.
That is a steal.
I know Zeke Elliott's in front of him, but this guy's better than Zeke Elliott at this point in Zeke Elliott's career. He's better. Now, will the Cowboys just unseat Zeke and put Pollard right in? No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. I'm not an idiot.
You know.
However, I think he's standalone flex worthy right out of the gate. Even though you can draft him as running back 30, draft him as a running back 3-4, not a locked in flex, but maybe a guy some people will draft as a flex, but in general, he's not locked in to that value. Kareem Hunt still feels like a little bit above him in terms of like acceptance as an automatic flex player. This guy's going to be halftime a flex player, and there's reason to want him there versus like locking him into like a low end running back 2 value, which he could earn and which I will deploy strategy wise if I'm going really heavy at running back 1, my wide receivers, my tight end and quarterback, and I'm circling back around with a really empty running back 2 draft slot where I've got Madison, Pollard, and a group of guys like that, where if one of them lands, if I land Pollard, I land one of my breakouts, Madison, Rashad White, whoever it is, if you land it, you win a league. If this guy turns into last year's Eli Mitchell in terms of production, you win a league. Eli Mitchell won leagues last year. Your boy Smitty told you to draft him. I said Sermon and Pollard were a cuff. You'll get occasional people that will go,
Oh, you really missed on Sermon.
No, I didn't, because every time the words came out of my mouth that Trey Sermon and Mitchell could win a league, you notice that Mitchell's attached to it. Mitchell was one of my biggest sleepers last year. Pollard has that kind of appeal where he's hitting a home run and extremely outperforming value that nobody saw coming. Even if they knew it was possible, they didn't invest in it like you did, like you're going to. You hit a home run with Tony Pollard, you win a league. Now the job, as I mentioned, is not just like wide open. He's going to have to earn carries, targets, but I think his efficiency will get him on the field more and more. Even if Elliott stayed healthy all year, which I don't think will happen if they're feeding him volume that makes him starter worthy. If they fed him both equally all year, Elliott could squeak out a healthy year. Be banged up and play banged up, maybe miss a game or two, but come in and play. But if they're feeding Elliott, if he's eating proper full course meals, I mean, I don't see how he could hold up. I don't see it. The mileage he has, the near 1,700 total carries on his career, that's astronomically high. Likelihood of breakdown if given full course meals all year, I'd say by mid-season he's broken. Now, we don't want a 50-50 divide all year long because that could keep Zeke healthy. He could linger around. Pollard won't be fed enough to ever really get to the potential we want him to get to. I'm not saying I want Elliott to get hurt. I'm not wishing injury upon anybody. I'm just saying that you want Pollard to get shoved in there at some point to start. So if Zeke Elliott starts off getting loads of work, it's not the end of the world. Don't like drop Pollard or give up on Pollard or go, this isn't working. Just my point is be patient with Pollard, even if it doesn't look good right out of the gate. This guy could average 5 yards per carry. This guy could be top 5 in the NFL in running back efficiency if he gets starter work. Potency wise, this guy's at a top 5 offense in the NFL. He gets shoved in there in Dallas, he will produce top 5 to 10 running back numbers. He will win leagues. He's that talented. It's not just situation. I love Tony Pollard's skill set. Smitty, he's a scat back. He's 6 foot. He's 215 to 220. Get out of here with that scat back. Change of pace back. No. Not Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard, he's a top 5 to 10 running back. Per start, mark it down. The offense supports what I'm saying. The talent, if you watch him, the talent supports what I'm saying. This is not just a good situation. It's a great player. Great player. I didn't say good. I said great. I didn't stutter. I said great. He's a great player in a great situation. What do you think's going to happen if he gets in there? I mean, do I really have to spell it out? Great plus great equals
to the moon.
Who said we don't learn on this show? Running back 30. Actually, running back 31, now that I look at it. He dropped one.
You know,
Christmas came early. 82 overall on ADP rankings. 82 overall. If we divide by 12, carry the 4, 6.8 round ADP. You could push that into round 7 a lot. If you're going to get him in round 6 at the end of 6, but sometimes you'll get him in round 7. League winner in round 7. Do you know who's going in round 7? Let's go from like 73 down to account for some of the players above him. Adam Thielen, I like Elijah Moore, but I still like Tony Pollard just as much, if not more. Gabe Davis, I like him, but give me Tony Pollard. Devin Singletary, Pollard. Stafford, Juju, Goddard, Kareem Hunt. I like Kareem Hunt. I could argue Kareem Hunt, but Pollard. Renfro, Devontae, Cordero, Lockett, Tom Brady, Bateman, Penny. Give me Tony Pollard all day. I literally read you a plethora of players around his ADP. He sticks out like a sore thumb. Do it live. League winner. League winner. Moon winner.
To the moon.
Now on to surprise number 5. Let's go. If I had to narrow down my last player, it would be Rachaad White, Trey Lance, Kenneth Walker, and Tyler Algier. I can't do it. I tried to come up with a number 5. I couldn't do it. I got down to 4. Him and Etienne. I hate to do this to you, but we're going to have a part 3. We're 20 minutes in covering Etienne and Pollard. And these 4 players on screen are so important to talk about. I don't want to condense it. I want to drag it on because it feels like one of the most important videos I'm going to make all year. These are league winners. League winners are important to talk about, and I'm going to have so much content on my number 5, which ended up being 4 players, that I've got to do a part 3. So tomorrow we're going to cover White, Lance, Algier, and Walker and talk about why I'm so high on all 4 of them I couldn't narrow it down to 1. That's all I got for you today, people. Leave a comment. Let me know how much you like this video. Spread the word. Hit the like button on your way out the door. And get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com and get your lifetime membership. Get your one-on-one text advice with me. It's on-demand texting with me. Detailed information you're going to get from me. Text me on demand, thefantasyfootballshow.com. Now go get some.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.